of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. The area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. And the light shineth in the darkness, et lux in tenebris lucet. And the light shineth in the darkness, et lux in tenebris lucet. The predicate is that part of a sentence that says something about the subject. The predicate is that part of a sentence that says something about the subject. Tell me about Pearl Harbor. On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, causing the United States to join the Allies in World War II. On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, causing the United States to join the Allies in World War II.
This is CC Week 18, History. Tell me about Pearl Harbor. So it starts off with on December 7th, 1941. You're going to hold up 7 fingers, December 7th, and then 4 fingers with the right hand, 1 finger with the left. 1941, the Japanese bombed. So you're just kind of make a hand motion of bombed the Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. So you're going to do like a little hula, causing the United States to join the Allies in World War II. Okay, we'll start from the beginning. On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, causing the United States to join the Allies in World War II. Good luck.
9 fluorine F19, 10 neon Ne20, 11 sodium Na23, 12 magnesium Mg24. You know there are so many more. 9 fluorine F19, 10 neon Ne20, 11 sodium Na23, 12 magnesium Mg24. You know there are so many more.
This week we will be studying the rivers on the west side of the United States. The first one is the Colorado River, which comes right out of the Grand Canyon here. Then we have the Red River, which is in Texas. And it would be a great presentation to find out why is this called the Red River. Then we have the Rio Grande River, which borders Mexico here. Easy to remember, Spanish name, Rio Grande. Columbia River up here in Washington. And then the Great Salt Lake in Utah right here. Now I ask and you point, where is the Great Salt Lake? Where is the Columbia River? Where is the Rio Grande River? Where is the Red River? And where is the Colorado River? And now I point and you tell me.
And here is our new song for this week. The Colorado River runs right through the Grand Canyon, from Colorado to Arizona, Arizona. The Red River tops Texas down to Louisiana. The Rio Grande River from Colorado to Texas tip. The Columbia River curves around Washington State. The Great Salt Lake in northern Utah. Oh, I just love being cuddled and rocked and sung to. I love to listen to the timeline. Who's that weird guy? Ah! Genghis Khan rules the Mongols. England's Magna Carta. Ottoman Empire. Marco Polo's journey to China. 100 Years' War and Black Death. The Renaissance. China's Ming Dynasty. Nice. Timeline, timeline, this is my timeline. Age of exploration, circa 1400 to circa 1600. Prince Henry founds the School of Navigation, slave trade in Africa. Gutenberg's printing press, Songhai in Africa. Tsar Ivan the Great of Russia, the Spanish Inquisition. Columbus sails to the Caribbean. 1500 AD, 1500 AD. Age of absolute monarchs, circa 1500 to circa 1800. Protestant Reformation, Spanish conquistadors in the Americas, Calvin's Institute of the Christian Religion, Council of Trent, Baroque period of the arts, Japan's isolation, Jamestown and Plymouth colony founded. Age of Enlightenment, circa 1650 to circa 1800. Hudson Bay Company, First Great Awakening. Classical period of the arts, the 7 Years' War. Nice. Timeline, timeline, this is my timeline. Age of industry, circa 1760 to circa 1969. James Cook sails to Australia and Antarctica. American Revolution and General George Washington. Madison's Constitution and the Bill of Rights. French Revolution, the Second Great Awakening. Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark Expedition. Napoleon crowned Emperor of France. Liberation of South America. The War of 1812, the Missouri Compromise. Immigrants flock to America. The Monroe Doctrine, Romantic period of the arts. Yes. Cherokee Trail of Tears. U.S. westward expansion. Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto. The Compromise of 1850 and the Dred Scott Decision. U.S. restores trade with Japan. British Queen Victoria's rule over India. Darwin publishes The Origin of Species.
CC Week 18 timeline starts off with Cherokee Trail of Tears. So the Cherokees were Native Americans, so we're going to do that same sign like we did earlier on in the timeline, where we're going to take our index and thumb and come like from our nose to our lips, like kind of like the ring, and then up like they're painting. So Cherokee Trail of Tears, and then you're going to have 4 fingers come down like you're crying. So Cherokee Trail of Tears. Then U.S. westward expansion, make that super easy. You're gonna do a W and you're just gonna come across your body left to right. U.S. westward expansion, Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto. So the sign for communism was just putting your fist forward. So Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto, like you're writing it because he wrote it. Then you have the Compromise of 1850 and the Dred Scott Decision. So just like Missouri Compromise, we're going to touch our head and come together like we're compromising. The Compromise of 1850 and the Dred Scott decision. So if you remember earlier in history, for this cycle 3, we talked about how Dred Scott was a slave, and he left the South to the North, and he went to court to see if he could be free because he lived in the North now, but they said no, because you're from the South, you're still a slave. So he remained a slave, the Dred Scott decision, and so you would just show he's a slave. The Compromise of 1850 and the Dred Scott decision. U.S. restores trade with Japan. So kind of like we did the immigrants last week, we're showing unity here. So the U.S. restores trade with Japan. Here we show the island. British Queen Victoria's rule over India. So British were known for or England, known for that handshake again. So British Queen Victoria's, you're gonna show a V for her, rule. So for this one, it's like you're taking the reins of a horse. So she's ruling, rule over India. There's your bindi. So we'll do that again. British Queen Victoria's rule over India. And then you have Darwin publishes The Origin of Species. So you're gonna make a D sign for in ASL. So Darwin publishes, like you're writing it, The Origin of Species. We're gonna do the sign like we did the beginning of the ages, how we went between the index and middle finger and started like a car. That means origin. So we've got Darwin publishes The Origin of Species. So let's do that from the beginning. Cherokee Trail of Tears, U.S. westward expansion, Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto, the Compromise of 1850 and the Dred Scott decision, U.S. restores trade with Japan, British Queen Victoria's rule over India, and Darwin publishes The Origin of Species. Good luck.
Zachary and Brianna.
Hi.
Today we are doing an experiment called hard water. So you're supposed to have baby food jars. That's what they recommend in the experiment, but I just use these little plastic Tupperware things so that it doesn't break. And then you have distilled water, which I have over here, right here. Some Epsom salts. I have a spoons, measuring spoons.
A bunch of spoons.
Yeah. It says you need an eyedropper, but you really don't. And then some dishwashing liquid. So it says fill both jars half full with distilled water. So I actually added an additional variable in this experiment, and that is our water, because I want to test how our water is. So I called it Rawlings H2O. We're gonna have one with Epsom salts, distilled water, and soap, and then the other one with distilled water and dish soap. So Zachary's gonna open these two up, and we are going to fill both the jars half full with distilled water. Half a teaspoon of Epsom salts to it. So here's your Epsom salts. Okay, let's get the water out of the way. You're gonna use half a teaspoon. So you're gonna find half a teaspoon on that and then measure it and put that into there. Okay.
That looks like rice.
Kinda, huh? All right, so now you're gonna add 3 drops of dishwashing liquid to each jar. Okay, perfect.
You said it way too fast.
All right, and you're gonna snap those shut. Shake it 15 times up and down. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, stop. Let's put it down and see what happened. Okay, so this is the distilled water and the dish soap. So that's quite a bit of suds. This is the Epsom salts. Maybe
maybe not so much. Let's see what they look like next to each other. Put it down.
They're
Oh,
like,
wow. Do you see
that.
that there's one that's a lot more? Let's see our water.
Our water's like the worst.
Wow, it's like very equal. How funny. It's actually very equal to the one with the Epsom salts. So what's going on here? Why is there way more soap there than in the Epsom salts and our own water?
We put in too much soap.
No, we put in almost the same amount of soap in each one.
No.
So what was the name of our experiment? It was called hard water, right? Right. So saying that water is hard does not mean that it is solid, but it contains minerals. What minerals does it contain? Calcium, magnesium, and our iron salts.
See, it's.
And if you look on the back of these Epsom salts,
You just have to shake it a little bit more, and it
if
looks
you look
like
on the
this.
back of the Epsom salts, what does it say right there? Magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate, right? So we
at-
added magnesium
Look
to
at
that
it.
water that Brianna
You
is
just
now
shake
shaking.
it like 3 more times, and it'll do this.
Looks better? Oh, it does look a little bit better. Okay,
have to
but
shake
we
it.
we wanted to do it equally, which is why
Yeah.
we only shook it the same amount, right? Okay, so Epsom salt is a magnesium salt. Water without these salts is called soft, right, Zachary?
And this one's
Okay,
not working.
so if it has magnesium salts in it, it's called hard water, right? So hard water doesn't make suds as well as soft water because the salts and the soap chemically react, forming a slimy film called soap scum. That's why when you guys take a bath and we don't keep up after the tub, there's like a little film on it. I don't know if you noticed that. And then if you look upstairs at our sinks, if you look at the faucets, you can see this white that's developing. That's the magnesium because our water is hard.
Yeah, I see it.
Right, so the way that we can fix
when
that.
I brush my teeth, there's a ton of it on my table.
Oh, okay. Well, that's from the toothpaste. So the way that you could fix this is you have to put a chemical, a softening agent in the water.
Okay.
And maybe we ought to do that, right? Because now we found out our water, our Rawlings water is hard. Do you guys like that? Is that fun? Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
So here is a great example of hard water. We put these faucets in a year ago, and we thought it would be nice to have a trough-looking faucet, but unfortunately you can see the deposits already from the magnesium salts. And so now we're going to have to figure out a softening agent so that that doesn't continue to build up. Roy Lichtenstein lived between the years 1923 and 1997. In the 1960s, he was involved in a new movement in art called pop. Pop is connected to using amazing wit and imagination. Roy Lichtenstein was an American art teacher and commercial artist. He based his artwork completely on comic strips, advertising, and bubblegum wrappers. He did not make fun of these images. He worked very hard to reproduce comic art on a large billboard-sized canvas, a very difficult job. Although he seems to be copying comics, he actually is creating them with a connection of dots and color. He often includes a white talk balloon so the cartoon characters can say things to the viewers. Instead of working small like the size of a normal cartoon or comic, all of Lichtenstein's work is done at the scale of a great large mural painting. Thank you, Roy Lichtenstein, for showing us the joy of comics.